Hi, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. Nope.
Yeah.
Yes, we are behind the scenes. It's just one of those days. It's a great way to start. Um, anyway, we are here on like really a beautiful sunny day in Cleveland, which is not always the case. So, really nice. And we're glad Mindy was able to come on because she was having some computer issues.
Still am.
Yay.
So hopefully it'll hold up.
Yeah, maybe turn the volume on the phone up. Okay, so our topic today, everybody, this week is Kamira, what's it called? Because if you say drug and alcohol week, that's a very bad, that's not what we mean.
I think it's Substance Use Awareness Week.
There, it's the awareness word. That's the word. Okay. So, Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week, Substance Abuse Awareness Week. And we thought, why not talk about it since some of us are worried about it and some of us have already dealt with it. So we'll tell you what's going on in or has gone on in our homes. I am going to tell you that I have lived a life of very little outside of what was medically prescribed. And I don't think it's because I lived a better life than other people. I think I know I had asthma as a kid. I had very bad asthma and I was on a lot of medication. And so there was really no interest in doing anything other than what I had to take. And then it became my story. Like my kids have always said, "Oh, come on, get high with us," which is a no. Because you can't say never if you do it once. So I'm like a never. And then I was visiting my nieces and they had a whole campaign going. It was a WhatsApp group with all the nieces and nephews to get Sue high. And I said, the truth is I like to say I've never done it. So even doing it once doesn't let me say I've never done it. But it did translate into parenting with a little naivete because I just assumed my kids would be like me. And as it turns out, they were like other kids and not like me. So I had to really pivot as my kids got older, which, I would say it wasn't until like the later years in high school. Jess, can you go into those comments for us? So it wasn't until those later years in high school where I knew stuff was going on and I had to kind of say, okay, well, what I thought it was going to be is not what it is. And I had to do a lot of that conversation about if you ever find yourself like, here's what's off the table. This is not happening. Like driving drunk, driving, even just having had a drink. But if you find yourself in a dangerous situation, you can call and you can feel safe. So that was something I never thought I would say, but it turned out I said it more than once or twice. So Kamira, I saw a little nod of the head. So let's see what you have to add.
I have to learn to stay still. Good morning. The substance use is my biggest fear. I think that I can parent my way around a lot of things, but my biggest fear is that somebody's going to try and it's never going to end, and they're going to go down the whole rabbit hole. And so I'm always trying to find ways to impress, and there's only so much you can impress upon these developing brains about why you shouldn't do this. Now with the legalization of marijuana, it becomes even more difficult because trying to explain to teens that their brains are still developing, that marijuana actually does affect the developing brain, and that this is something that you should avoid is very difficult when it's legal. And in some states, people are walking down the street with it and your teen is wondering, why not? And then also with teens, I think that when we talk about substance use, we should remember to include vaping. That sometimes we use vaping as another, but vaping should be a controlled substance. It's under substance use, and it's another conversation that sometimes we forget to roll that into the conversation with teens. And I am guilty of that too. So I have to start doing more of that. But it is the biggest fear. So far, I haven't had to have any instances with my children in my house. None of them are children now. But I have seen what it does to other friends and relatives. And, with age and wisdom and time, you see things that they don't have the benefits of, and they're young, they don't care to absorb your benefits. So that it just is so scary. But I know that if it is something that you're dealing with in your home, there are all kinds of places and resources that you can access via either online or in person. And you should never give up trying to affect change in your home if this is something that you're dealing with. I'm going to go over to Sharon.
Oh, I just want to in Kamira, because one of the things you said, it's so true. Like a lot of this is about crossing your fingers and like waiting to get to that age where you feel like their brains are less malleable and less affected by substance. Because, you know, I mean, I don't know what the right thing is. I talk to experts all the time, and kids, teenagers, they do stuff even when we tell them not to do stuff. Sorry, Sharon.
That's okay. So my kids are a little younger, which should mean this doesn't matter as much yet. But you know, it's really interesting how you mentioned, Kamira, the legalization of marijuana. Here in Ohio, where I am and where some of us are, it is not legal for recreational use yet. But the attitudes have changed somewhat because of the trend nationally. And I know there are adults in our community who are using marijuana. And I know that some of that is in the form of edibles, and it's even shown up at the middle school. And there was an incident a couple of years ago where some kid was selling it to other kids, and the ambulance had to come because kids had eaten too many. And like, it's part of me is like, I feel so old because I feel like, you know, drugs were around when I was a teenager 30 years ago. But it was different. I mean, it was a different set of substances. We didn't have vaping. Pot was it was different. It wasn't something that you could eat in school. You know, you know, everybody would know. So
Or die from because it's laced with something. I mean, we just didn't have that.
Right. So it is kind of overwhelming. And then the other thing that's kind of overwhelming, I don't know if I'm not really offering any wisdom here. I'm just, you know, venting and commiserating, I think, and looking for advice. But there is a lot of education in our school system about it. And my high schooler came home and talked about this former drug addict who was maybe 20, maybe 19, came and talked to the kids, or maybe she was on video. And, you know, told the kids about all the different drugs she had done and was not doing anymore. But, you know, I just still want to keep them innocent. And this is just not possible when you have teenagers. But I'm like, okay, now you guys also learned, we were kind of joking about it. Oh, you learned a lot about what all the different options are for drugs that you could be using, I guess. And so I have no wisdom to offer, just there with the other parents, keeping my fingers crossed, talking about it a lot. And that's what I'm doing for now. Melissa, I'm going to pass it down to you.
Well, I'm going to jump in, Sharon, because early in your teen's history, we put an article together about drug use. And we also put like to parents kind of like what you should be looking for, the different things kids were using. And someone reached out to us and said, that is as much as a self-help for teenagers, like in the same way that you're saying, maybe going out there and saying all these things is giving kids ideas. And it's such a fine line between educating and suggesting, you know, and I don't know where the line is drawn, but I remember being like, wow, we have that responsibility. We have to worry about that. Okay, back.
So I'm fortunate that my kids are not even users, never mind abusers. They really steer clear of drugs and alcohol. And my town does a really good job with alcohol awareness and drug awareness. And there's a big campaign against vaping here. So and probably because there's a big campaign, but there are still a lot of kids who vape in the bathrooms, and the fire alarm goes off and school has to stop, and the kids are all standing out in the freezing cold. So there's sort of like, you know, either you vape or you don't vape, and they're sort of butting heads in the in the schools.
Melissa, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you see the same thing? Like nobody really smokes anymore. It seems like kids look down on smoking, but vaping
Yeah.
is the thing, if anything.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, yeah. One of the things that we try to do in our own home is to introduce the kids to, I know this is going to sound weird, but introduce them to alcohol, to have them, because especially because one is going off to college and we want her to know what it's going to feel like if she does it. And she's like completely uninterested. I think she had a drink, like maybe 3 drinks in her life, and she's 22 now. So she's just not interested in it at all. She got the feeling at home and she was like, yeah, it's really not for me. But we phrased it in we want you to know what it's like, and we want you in a safe environment. And, just in case someone spikes your drink or whatever, we want you to know what's going on and to get help if you need it. And, yeah, so preparation and prevention and all that, we try and arm them going out. And I'm in Massachusetts, so recreational marijuana is legal here. Medical marijuana has been legal for quite a while here. And they're still not interested in it. So yeah, I consider myself lucky. And I'm going to pass it over to Jess.
All right. So I'm not much of a drug user. I guess I don't drink a ton. I don't do marijuana, and I think my family's kind of a decent, like, my little brother was in a fraternity. There was plenty of drinking. So I don't have as much to talk about, but I do have all of these fun statistics that Kamira sent. So I'm going to read just a couple of those off. 7.6 of 8th graders say they have vaped nicotine in the past month. That is from a 2021 Monitoring the Future survey. The most commonly abused drugs by high school seniors, other than tobacco and alcohol, is Adderall. It's 7.4%. And then they also have Vicodin and OxyContin. Let's see, in 2019, 4 in 10 high school students reported using marijuana in their lifetime. Just, there's...
Do you wanna take a look at what Stephanie has to say over here?
I didn't even notice. Yeah. So we can only teach them how unhealthy drug use and alcohol.
Well, first of all, I just want to give a shout out to her. 15 years sober. So yay. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I've also I know plenty of people who have struggled with addiction over my life. So I think that also in part has deterred me from wanting to overindulge in that kind of stuff. But we can only teach them how.
I'm blocking you with Stephanie. So do you want to read it, or should I put it back in? And then I'll put it away so we could see you.
I'll just I'll say like this. We can only teach them how unhealthy drug use and alcohol and cigarettes and vape are, and the consequences that it can do to families. I teach my son a lot, especially he is asthmatic. I can pray that he wants none of it, as I'm 15 years sober and he is happy, but he has seen others who are drunk or high and does not like it. He's mature for his age. I see the correction.
Thanks so much for sharing, Stephanie. And yay to you.
Yeah, I think that's about all I have to say. So I'm going to pass it over to Mindy.
Thanks, Jessica. Can you hear me okay, everyone, since I'm on my phone? So I maybe have a little bit of wisdom. I don't know. My kids are older, and I did have actually 2 siblings that had drug abuse issues way back, way back. So it was always a fear, for me I have 3 boys. Because I experienced it growing up with my brother. So I would always talk to my kids. I'd let them know about the family situation, the family history. My husband and I always let them know our feelings about drugs and alcohol. And I remember my middle son, they all had their moments. They waited, which, we always stressed, wait. Older is better. So they did wait until probably end of high school, maybe. Early college, but I do remember my middle son, and I said to him one time, went over the old, okay, now listen, be careful, and college and partying and drugs and your uncles. And he said to me, Mom, it rings in my head all the time, your voice. So he said, trust me, every time I go out and I'm at a party, your voice is in my head. So I thought, okay, I could probably stop. But so I guess my advice with that is it does help to talk. So talk to your kids, remind them once is not enough. You got to talk to them over and over. And yeah, so far so good. Again, they've all had their moments, but they're in their 20s. So, they're young adults now. So that's I think it's really tough. It's really scary. There's a lot out there, but I think the best we can do is just open communication with our kids and continue to remind them of the danger. So that's all I got. Maybe a bit.
Mindy, I got chills when you said that, because it's rare that we get feedback that we've done our job well. And that was like your moment, your A+ moment as a parent.
Well, 1 out of 3. I have 3. He was the only one that said it to me. So I guess 1 out of 3 isn't bad, but thank you. Yeah. I mean, we do our best, right? That's all we can do. And then they make their own decisions. So.
Yeah. But letting them know how we feel about it is something that sits with them, which is important.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least for one of yours, I think the experts would agree that that's our role, is to keep letting them know that. So thanks for sharing that. Kamira, tell us who you're interviewing tomorrow. And yay for me for remembering. Woohoo!
Yay for you. Thank you for sharing, Stephanie. I think you're all right. It's all communication. And if you're comfortable telling your story, if my boys ask a question, I tell them. They've asked me what it felt like being drunk. And I had to explain it to them and explain why I don't think you'll like it, because I have some control freaks in my house. But tomorrow, we're talking to Michael Chavis. He's going to talk to us about, the title is Managing, Not Controlling Your Teen. And if you're anything like me, control is what comes first, and you need a lot of help with the managing part, especially when you're in difficult situations. So he's going to talk to us about that tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. on the Your Teen for Parents YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Twitter accounts. We'll see you then.
And tomorrow night is testing for Destination College. So who's on? Sharon and Kamira, right? Yeah. So if you guys want to hear from some fabulous experts what the state of affairs is with college testing, SAT, ACT, all of this test optional movement, tomorrow's the night. Sign up. Jessica is going to dump the link. If you haven't signed up yet, you'll get all of the prior sessions, and they've been remarkable. So if you're worried about what you do with your kid about testing, tomorrow night, 7:00, sign up. And that's it. So everyone have a great week. And anything to celebrate this week, guys? There's no
Spring.
St. Pat.
It's
spring. Oh,
it's spring.
are you seeing the bulbs popping out of the ground?
Well, in northern Michigan, we still have ice on our lake, so no bulbs yet, but we do have grass. So
yeah, I love the moment I see the buds coming up. It's just so hopeful. All right, everybody, have a great week.